back in the early 70s, around 72, 73, had a movie come out called American Graffiti. Now, those you don't remember that because you weren't even born yet. But the tagline was, "Where were you in 62?" And they were saying that everybody wanted to ask themselves, what were you doing 10 years ago? And everybody was saying, God, that 10 years ago, that's a long time. You can get a shitload of things done in 10 years, right? Well, yes, we have. And we're going to get into what you can do in exactly 10 years on the rotation. Hit the music. It is Sunday, not just any Sunday, but it is a Sunday that the rotation is celebrating 10 years.
Yay!
This shit has been going down.
Spirit fingers.
I don't know what was just said in the background, but it sounded really fun. Yeah, no, I was not there at the very beginning. I mean, I was there, but I was not there. Yeah, 15 years ago, I was still sitting there in Tallahassee, and thinking, what am I going to do to make this a better place? And I saw these two guys doing this radio show like thing in someone's garage and calling it the rotation and saying, I got to do that too. Took me a couple of years to catch up, but these guys have been doing a fantastic job. Now, who am I, of course? Well, my name is Gary Stein. I'm the Master of Public Health and Political and Policy Director for Suncoast Normal. And just below me and a little bit off to the left, our Deputy Director, the Curator of Chillum CBD and Mushroom Emporium, and our pseudo-Cuban and Master of Business Administration, Carlos Angel Armida.
Pseudo-Cuban, all right.
Well, that's good because we don't have a pseudo ice yet, so you're safe.
Ah, okay.
Oh, snap.
And to my left, your right, coming to us from Maryland, which is above the Beltway, where he hits them below the Beltway, our Executive Director, Master of Public Administration, Christopher Cano.
Big Cano, not the little one.
Okay, before we introduce our guests, because it is the 10-year thing, what was the genesis of you deciding to go to Carlos's garage with some audio equipment and pretend to do a podcast?
Man, it was it was Carlos initially saying we should start a normal chapter, and that was like in July of 2014. Suncoast Normal got its charter in September of 2014, and then as time went on, we were started the chapter up. Carlos was like, we should start a podcast. I was like, all right, I have no idea what to do. He's like, what do we do? I'm like, man, we just talk shit and get high. And so that was the initial genesis of the rotation. Was sitting in his garage after chiefing and continuing to chief. It used to be audio only back then. So, we would just talk, and we would do multiple episodes in a day. We'd sit 2-3 hours at his place and do several episodes talking about different topics. And then eventually, through my own workings at WTMP, we got the opportunity to start broadcasting on Tampa's oldest historically Black radio station. And that's when the rotation really began to take off. And I was so happy to do that with Carlos and get that opportunity to broadcast in both the AM and the FM band. And then, as media developed and now we have all our own social media channels that we can do this, here we are and bringing it to you live. And every year we've gotten better. Everything from, moving the video to Carlos running the sound effects on the board, to having great guests that you line up every week, to having, our resident IT geek Pink coming on as our comms director to be a regular fixture on the show. And I'm just so proud and happy and honored to be able to bring this format and this show to the members of Suncoast Normal and to the general public each and every week. But I would be remiss to once again say this would not have been possible without Carlos Armida. So everybody give it up for Carlos one more time.
Let's go. It's a big huge shout out to Carlos.
I appreciate you guys saying that.
I love Missy.
You know, but at the same time, you give me a kiss right here. There you go.
Oh, you're so lucky.
Nah,
I'm jelly.
I'm not I'm here. I'm in the house.
No, I honestly, guys, I kind of like I hesitate to say that the show's 10 years old because like the argument can be made that it's 10 years old, but like in phases. Like I think this exact show is like 5 years old. Because I mean, this show started like, all right, so those episodes that were in the garage, right? Lost. Can't find them anywhere. You know, they used to exist on a streaming platform called Stitcher.
Mm-hmm.
And now that streaming platform doesn't even exist.
And
So you never had them on Flash Drive or nothing? You never
well,
had nothing?
they used to be on centralfloridanormal.com. And then we rebranded. We got a new website host. So yeah, the lost episodes are out there. So if you have them, those are worth gold.
Let me ask you a question.
The
Does
way
that mean you erased the episode with the Epstein files?
well, the episode where Jeffrey Epstein was on is
damn.
Can
Can we get him back?
No, it's gone. It's gone. It's all gone.
Yeah, the episode did not self-delete.
And did not stop the structure to tell you that.
We originally, like, our first website was hosted on a platform called Joomla, right? Which is never used nowadays, right? If for people that don't know about like audio podcasts take up a lot of space. So typically, like, you either have to like put extra space on your website, or you need to like do what people typically do now is they either like download it directly to Spotify or SoundCloud, right? But you needed what's called an RSS feed. You need to host that, and we used to host our own RSS feed on our Central Florida Normal website, but when we got rid of that website, the episodes were taken down. There was no care to like really like figure out what to do with them, right? We do have the episodes where we were on WTMP, right? We have them, yeah, we have them like backed up on the computer over here in Chillum. But
I remember that came. That's what I remember is WTMP. I used to listen to that.
Yeah, that shit.
I used to work at Times Customer Service, I think.
Yeah, hats off to our intrepid engineer we had at the time.
Yeah, what's his name? Ward.
Yeah,
he was cool, man. We should bring him on for a day or something.
Yeah,
but,
ironically, the rotations outlasted WTMP. They're no longer in broadcasting.
Really? Yeah, I didn't know that until I rode by the station.
Yeah.
Look at that, bro. Like everything has been against this podcast, you know. They've taken down everything, like from our first streaming platforms to the radio station we were on, and we're still fucking here.
Yep. Facebook took down our ability to run ads. Instagram got canceled. My Instagram yesterday was restricted from doing live broadcasts because they want to label me what's that word? That word.
Insurrectionist?
Something along those lines. One of those special words they got, all because I reposted the warnings from the 1930s Germany to Americans to be aware of, and apparently I'm now on a list. So
God, you're a terrorist, bro.
I mean, I was on the list back in the 1970s. I was listed as an anarchist. I used to go to the school council meetings over Michigan State University and complain about the guy who was actually in charge of the student council. And I would bring a giant smoked chub, and I eat it during the meetings. I always figured there was something fishy going on over there. And so I heard it was told the FBI had me on a chaos file of some kind.
Well, we're real terrorists over here. I like this. I'm so glad to be a part of this team. I just want y'all to know. I just thank y'all for bringing me aboard. I love y'all.
And I saw in the comments, there's a lot of talking, not a lot of token. Ironically, the terms of service on YouTube says that you can blow smoke, but they can't see you hit the blunt.
They can't see you hit the blunt. If y'all ever notice, I'm always trying to be out the camera.
Yeah, so it's weird to see what platforms have these different restrictions on free speech, and I think in this time and it's poignant to know that that has been the crux of everything that we've attempted to do for the past decade, is to highlight freedom and civil rights and the importance of speaking out and protecting them, especially the civil rights of cannabis consumers, because those have been under attack for over 50 years in this country, and much longer when you go back to the real history of prohibition, dating back over 100 years. And so we as cannabis consumers have consistently been attacked throughout the 20th century. And as we move into this quasi phase of corporate legalization, it is important for us to speak out and continue to push for important pieces of policy change, like the right to grow at home, and making sure that it remains intact, because there's no such thing as true legalization if you yourself can't grow your own medicine, can't grow your own plant.
Right.
Couldn't help noticing, again, checking out all the sales in Detroit. They're going to be there when I get there. That there was more than one dispensary that actually does sell clones, which is really kind of nice, because back in Michigan, you can grow up 12 plants. Mm-hmm. So where are you going to get your plants? And buying a clone, of course, is much better than just putting out the seeds, because sometimes it's tough going from seeds. Yeah. We're going to discuss home grow, but it's not easy. Here's the real clue on that. But there are folks who know what they're doing. Yeah. So we should get in contact with the folks who know what they're doing before we get into home grow, and make sure that these guys have a spot in this industry, because they will be important.
Gary, you bring up the point about the expertise, and that's also been a criticism that we voiced of the cannabis industry in Florida, is that the way they structured it, you got to pass a level 2 background check to work in one of these Apple-looking stores that they call the Medical Marijuana Treatment Center in Florida. And the truth is because of prohibition, the really good growers probably have had police interactions. Some of them, and many of them, have criminal records. So you literally are blocking out the talent out of the industry. And that's why when you walk into an MMTC and you ask a serious question about cannabis to many of these customer service facing people, it's always like a deer in headlights. You get a lot of uhs and well, it'll get you high. It's like, that's not what I asked you. I know how to get high.
I know how to do that. Buy it and smoke it, bitch. Like, it's like, give me the inside of it or something.
The other episode that we had where it's like, tell me about this strain. It's fire.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, shit. Okay, look.
Shit's some fire saw, bro.
Fire saw.
This is hold on.
You gotta get to the level of the descriptions of various strains, which was actually cultivars, not strains.
We need the magazine back. High time.
Check out Weed Maps or Leafly, and the way that they describe certain things. Gassy yet profound.
Yeah, I have a question. I've been wanting to ask this for a while. Hold your thoughts, really quick.
Yeah,
it's off subject, but really quick. I don't even know how to ask. Okay, so it's so much. We have this whole big deal about marijuana and the effects of it and the negative part of it, but how did it all start about anyways? Do anybody know when it first was found about marijuana? Was it marijuana? What was the name of the leaf? I read some things and I'm intrigued.
So
we could do a whole show on that.
Oh yeah, well,
I really want to so bad. You have no idea.
I want to go about this a very certain way. Okay.
First off, it's racist
on me. All right. I actually want Gary to go ahead and answer it, and then I will come in afterwards. And
please.
And then after they're talking, I'll give you the professor point of view.
I know. I'm already knowing. We got Professor P. Okay. I know. Okay.
I don't want to go too far back, but approximately 2,000 years ago, in China, they had this beautiful plant that was on canes, and it had a female plant and a male plant, and they called it ma.
What?
Ma.
M-A-U?
It's M-A. Well, it's Cantonese, so it's a little squiggly figure that looks kind of like a house with 2 sticks in it, because they called it a cane of 2 natures, was the translation, because it was a male and a female, and that's how they got And if you use it as medicine, you have one side that you treats the yin, and the other one treats the yang. the
Right.
yin and the yang, the whole bit. So that was like 2,000 years ago. And so the Cantonese always used to call it Ma Renhua. Now, segue to Mexico on the West Coast, we had a bunch of Chinese immigrants. There you go. They're beautiful.
There it is. Thank you, Wilson.
So the conquistadors, when they came here, they brought hemp seeds, which they called cañaba. And they wanted it strictly for the hemp, for
I heard
the
that. I
for
read
the
that.
fiber and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And they had no idea what was on the top of that plant. They usually cut it off, let it sit on the ground when they got it. So they came over here, they planted all sorts of hemp all over the place. And the medicine men, mostly who were Aztec, saw the plant, saw it was medicine, and started using it as medicine. Of course, they had a different name for it. The Aztec name was Pipizziligus, which means prince of herbs. But the Chinese immigrants, when they came here to work on the railroad, they knew it as Ma Renhua. Now comes the Mexican guys who've seen it as being used as medicine, but as a peasantry are starting to use it more for recreational use. And the Chinese look at it, they go, oh, Ma Renhua. Well, of course, they can't pronounce that. So
Marijuana.
was
Oh, it makes
born.
sense. Marijuana.
Because go figure these Mexican folks. I got to tell you,
That tracks for Latinos. They'll take a
I'm trying to
they'll
put
take a
this shit
word
together.
in another
I'm supposed to
language
look at
and turn it into their word. You know, I know for a fact that there's certain words like poloche. You know, it means polo shirt in Dominican.
You know fucking what? Don't start.
now,
Don't
I
start.
don't know where
Mhm.
Mota came from, but I'm certain it has a particular gist to it.
Ma,
But as far,
marijuana.
but again, in the Spanish language, the J is pronounced as H, and that is why on the first law here in the United States, it was the Marijuana Act with the H, because they couldn't figure out why would you have a J if it's pronounced H, because we as Americans are oftentimes very stupid when it comes to other people's
Just
languages.
like they did the word Jesus, you know, Jesus went to Jesus because the black man couldn't pronounce it, so Jesus got a middle name.
Hey,
Harold.
Jesus is just all right with me.
Yeah, all right. Jesus Harold Christ. I'm rock with Jesus Harold. I just never met him, but I respect him.
Not yet.
Yeah,
For
we,
real.
we can get into the history of cannabis. And again, we could spend days and days and days on it because there's a lot of interesting, rich history. One thing you should know is that history has really looked at cannabis and the military as a bond that started long time ago. The Roman soldiers used to use the hemp leaves as an anti-inflammatory to help their wounds heal faster.
Yeah, I
And
read
so it
that
became
too.
integral to the military, along with the fact that they were using hemp for bowstrings back in 2,000 years ago that made the arrows fly faster. So the
I
military
didn't
has
know that.
always had a great love for cannabis. And that kind of segues a little bit into our guest today. Just saying,
Okay.
hey, Patty, we love you. I'd give you a kiss too if I was over there, but I'm not over there. So we'll work on that.
Gonna work on that. Virtual kisses are good. I like virtual kisses. Kiss me on my forehead. Thank you.
Carlos, introduce Patty for us.
Well, her name is Tammy.
Tammy. I did it again. Sorry.
And speaking of the military, Chillum, we used to hold, well, when they were active in the area, there was a group called Weed for Warriors Project. And I believe there's still a chapter in Florida somewhere. But currently the Tampa chapter is inactive. But when they were active, they would hold their meetings here in this space. And they would invite everybody, veterans that wanted to support along with their friends and family, and veterans that wanted to support each other. Was probably the most important part of all that. And Tammy here happens to be a veteran that showed up to one of those meetings. And Tammy tells a very nice story about that's an AI camera for you there, Tammy.
Look how close. Look, get you closer.
Tammy here came to one of those meetings, and Tammy tells a very nice story about how she looked around during that meeting and she saw what I was doing, and she found an opportunity to help the veteran community in her own special way. So Tammy and her cousin went ahead and started a brick and mortar location called Battle Buds Bunker over in Yeah, over in West Tampa. And they have an awesome community down there. We've had Cushy Pies on the show several times. Cushy Pies is definitely a very big part of that community. And so is Suncoast Normal, because we're going to be holding a puff and paint there. So Tammy, maybe you can introduce yourself in ways that I add some things that I forgot, and maybe tell people about Battle Butts. And
Absolutely. Hey, and thank you guys. It's great to be here. I think this is actually my second time. But going back to the hemp, and I love history too. And I don't know if a lot of people know this, but there you go. Sorry, it's weird hearing yourself. But the original Betsy Ross flag of the 13 original colonies with the round, I actually have one, was made out of hemp. So how about that? For some
Absolutely.
and but yeah, you guys, I'm so excited to be here. Me and my cousin Jennifer Long Jackson, we're both fourth generation Tampa. And yeah, I'm proud.
yeah, that's right. You're West Tampa
True,
native.
yeah, true. Some of us
Right in your
were,
hometown, this whole town, if you didn't know.
yeah, baby. And yeah, throwback to all of our peeps. And after serving 26 years in the Navy, I did a few things and then messed up and got really addicted to pain pills and about the 7 different medications the VA had me on, and didn't know I had PTSD from combat. And, I'm a senior chief, I'm a firstborn, I'm a mom, I'm a woman, we don't show our shit. And
Mhm.
I showed my shit, and it all came out in 2018. And, I basically went from, one of the highest ranking senior chief petty officer, served in, served my country, really rely on my team. They used to call me triple threat. I mean, I've had so many little nicknames. And anyway, I got really addicted and man, had to
Look
go
at you now.
had to go into rehab. And that's when I found out, oh, okay, that's what PTSD is. And anyway, long story short, I basically like fell flat on my ass, was almost homeless, didn't know what was going on, didn't understand it, had another head injury, and just it went from there. So I went into rehab. That's how I went to California because Florida wasn't legal yet. And so when I got out, my cousin Jennifer was here, and she knew Carlos Chillum, knew a lot of veterans, her brother, her family, and she took me here, and she goes, Tammy, you got to try CBD. I'm like, man, I'm a mom. My daughter's in high school. I can't be stoned. I need something because I can't do what I used to do. And so I know, no kidding, you guys, I came right in here at that counter right there, and in December, and Mary Newman was in the counter. There was people back then, and she goes, hey, and I'm ADHD, and she said, try this CBD hit. And I'm like, what? And I did it right there, man. And I was like, whoa.
She's not lying, y'all. She is definitely a busy buddy.
That's some CBD. And I'm like, I'm not lit. I'm just like, so anyway, met these guys and the Weed for Warriors. And me and my cousin Jen were like, all right, we didn't want to be a competition, but when you think of battle buds, when we go out, we have to have a battle buddy. I don't care what branch of service you're in.
Right.
And then we went and learned and went to the very first, where I met a lot of people at the very first, in Miami, the cannabis expo. Anyway, and we were starting to do gummies, but believe it or not, and I just remember this, I was one of the first veteran patients that got flower in this state, and I still have my Move bottle. I should have brought it with my little, but yeah. And so, I've kind of been a part of that. I don't want to get fixated on me. We're all about, but to us, it's about, there's a battle that, we are all battling things, man, especially our Gen Zs. And so, and there's a bud out there to handle that CBG, CBN, CBD. It's like, no, you don't have to get lit. It's not about that. That's
Right.
the shit, And so we were like, let's bridge the gap, like we're one as veterans, we're trying to bridge the gap between our Vietnam veterans and our 9/11 veterans, and as leaders, we're generational leaders, generational thinkers in the military. That's what they teach us. And I feel that's what we need to do right now. And we've been trying to do that on the veteran aspect. But why not, like when we go on a deployment, it's all about the full circle, the family, the dependents. It's like there's so much going on. And, we still haven't taken care of our Vietnam brothers and sisters. And so, one thing leads to another. And I know I'm like all over the spectrum. People that know me know I'm like that. But
Yeah.
I just, and that's why I think it's a team effort. And we can bring people together. And most of us, I wish Pablo was here. I love him. But, we started this thing. It's called the Veteran Education Tour. And that's really helping us. And with all of you guys and so many other people here in Tampa and the whole Tampa Bay area, baby, is we as civilians and military can go into the VFWs and different places and show where it's not just about getting lit, and really helping even our dependents and our kids. It's like, you guys, we talk about the suicide rate and mental health, everything else going on. And that's one of the things we want to do with Battle Buds. And we've been trying to do here in Tampa, is bring the awareness also to the suicide rate and our dependents and kids, because we're essentially taken care of, when we're gone, if we're lucky. But not, it's like the family's left, no matter what that is. But anyway, I'm sorry. I know I got kind of,
That's cool, but
No,
off.
It's brought up some questions for me.
Yes.
So
Pause.
raise your hand, Carlos. You're off to the right.
So I'm trying to get back on. There you go. All right. So no, I'm just curious, right? Do you go down to the VA often?
Yes, I go to Bay Pine.
Okay, so
Yep.
so
You don't go to the Haley.
I don't go to the Haley one. No.
I'm not a veteran, but if I was a veteran, right, and I'm looking for some sort of help, I could go over to Battle Buds, and I have a pretty good idea of what I would get at Battle Buds, right? You would show me, whatever the situation, whatever cannabinoid that you would deem after talking to me or whatever. But you're a veteran, you have no idea about cannabinoids, right? You know that you can go to the VA for help, right? So you do that. What ends up happening? What typically, like, what is that protocol? Do they have you talk to somebody? Do they just shower you with pills, or like, how does that work out?
Yeah, that's a great question. Because so many veterans really think that if we do anything, CBD, whatever, we're going to lose our benefits. And the VA is doing amazing all over, but especially the one I go to, Bay Pines out in St. Pete, is so many doctors, and they'll tell you, if you can just be honest, they're not going to give you pain pills and certain narcotics and things like that. But you're not going to lose your benefits. You're not going to things like that. And that's why the Veteran Education Tour, we're trying to educate veterans and tell them that. And also, you guys, and why this is so important is when there's so many people here that, and I love my cousin Jennifer, I wish she was here, but her tagline is, not all of us want to get high, we want to get better. So when you walk in the bunker or a place like Chilcoff, yes, a lot of us, our first question we ask them is first, hey, do you have your medical marijuana card? And what is your tolerance? Because this is different. It's not like alcohol where whatever, you can go throw up, whatever. But weed, it's neurologic. It's in your nervous.
Right. It's to calm the body down. This is
Yeah,
what
you
it
gotta-
do.
yeah.
Relax.
So our thing
Good
is
life.
it ain't about how strong it is and this and that. It's what do you need to get right? And let's find that bud for you. If we don't have it, these people do, and they are licensed, they are this, they are that, because they think, oh, they're going to lose their card, they're going to do this. And that's why we're finally working with litigation here in the state of Florida. You know, Florida Cannabis Action Network, Normal, Suncoast Normal, all the normals. It's veterans we don't even know. You guys are out there to help us. And that, again, is this bridging the gap even between our civilian and military community, where we can all help each other. So now we know what's going on. Like if someone calls us a veteran, I can say, hey, over in Brandon, go to see Esta G, Valrico, go over to see Tom, man, at Chill Coffee. So, you know, and we carry each other's products. That's what Battle Buds does, you know.
Okay.
Thank Chocolate. We Canna Queen Genetics, like we like to carry local people and anyone that's cushy pies. I mean, so many people can't smoke, but they can eat. And we
Right.
call you guys the triple threat effect, you know, because military, sailors, athletes, you know, I'm going to let you rub me down and put some combat cream on me and get that. Okay. And then if
Look, bitch out.
yeah, if I can smoke, if I'm 21, blah, 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 I'm going to hit it, you know, because, oh, that's my lungs. That's instant. Okay. Now my tremors aren't all going over. I'm not this, you know. And then when I get that edible, or I drink that coffee, or I eat that biscuit and gravy, or whatever the hell it's in, that's going through my liver. So that's I call it my triple threat effect. So that's how this senior chief, this freaking whack job, you know, I mean, BB in a shoebox.
Crazy.
I get up. I
Well,
drink
you're talking,
you know,
That
We're
bitch crazy.
we're
but
talking
Him crazy.
infused red eye gravy and biscuits.
yeah, man, you put that cannabis in them biscuits and gravy. Yeah, that's
Like
CBG. Like I do CBG, you guys, like 3 times a day.
Can you
You
explain what that is a little bit?
Yes, CBG. It
Never
has,
began all.
thank you. I can't say it, but the experts can. I can just tell you what it does.
Okay.
And yeah,
Get
and I
down with the G.
yeah,
Down
and
with the G.
exactly the G force, baby.
I
And
want
we
some of
know
the G. I'm an OG too. Tammy, don't
all
forget
of
me.
the
Tammy, give me
G-force.
some.
Blue
You know-
Angels, you
G
know,
toe?
that G for that, yeah.
Put me
So
in it, coach.
the G baby, you're in is I love it. It's my favorite because it has no THC in it. And with I've had 3 TBIs and 9 concussions. So I've had a lot of head injuries and
Wow.
blah, blah, blah. And, you know, and PTSD. And that's how, and again, like we go from PTSD to PTG, post-traumatic growth. And that G is even a baby can take it, you know, like in the form of like honey, whatever, a gummy, a little lollipop. But to me, it calms me down, my nerves, my tremors when I jerk, and it gives me a little energy.
I
And
need me a cultivar to calm down when I jerk, Tammy. I'm there with you.
there we go, baby.
Oh shit, Tim, you wasn't ready for that. Look, you wasn't ready for that. About to stir up some shit in here. Can't know about to stir up some shit, y'all. There he go.
Here's throw it, man. I was a comms chief, baby.
There he go. He about to stir up some shit. Nice, fuck, man.
This is why
Who
Chris
else
always
still
ends
be
up in
mad
the
today?
Facebook jail.
Yeah, we're getting too serious. But
This
anyway,
fucking guy, man. He couldn't wait. I mean, I bet they was sitting right there. This little piece of the doodle just sit the fuck there. How long, Kano? God damn, man. I know he couldn't wait. Look at his face. He couldn't fucking wait. You could see it out the peripheral. I'm like, it's coming.
Look,
Him or him? Or
Tammy,
tomorrow?
Tammy brings up a lot of great points in that our veterans community has really been on the front lines of medical cannabis research. Despite all the prohibitions the federal government has on research, despite all the hoops that they make folks jump through, because it is the veteran community that has really suffered has sacrificed for this nation. And they're the ones typically on the ground that are learning about the medicine through titration, through self-treatment, because the VA system has not been allowed to provide guidance. You know, and in many states, vets are leery of talking to their VA doctors because they're afraid of losing benefits. They're afraid that cannabis use going into your medical records, into government public records, right? In certain ways, it's your medical records aren't necessarily public, but the government, the VA is a public agency. You know, just having the government know you smoke cannabis can be anxiety inducing for anybody.
Yeah.
And there is finally some movement happening around that because of veteran advocates like Tammy, because of the work that we've done working in conjunction with groups like the We for Warriors Project, seeing Pablo, the 1620 Marine out there doing education to the community. For us as Suncoast Normal continue to advocate. I had the opportunity last week to meet over at a congressional mixer, the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense, who actually heads up counter narcotics. And I didn't know that's exactly who he was. So I'm talking to the top narc for the DOD.
Love it.
Ranting and raving about why our veterans can't get access to cannabis.
The whole time.
The whole time sitting there just out of myself to the top guy who hunts down people who sell and traffic drugs for a living, right?
If he didn't know, he know that day. He knew, found out who the fuck he was. Now he know.
But he did share something with me, and he said that there is a trepidation among those who are in government, especially folks in leadership positions, to be the one who takes that first leap, to be the one who changes the policy, because if there's a screw up, and Tammy, you know this, when you give orders, there's always accountability for every order you give. And that level of fear for that accountability, because we know that prohibitionists sensationalize every negative thing that happens as we move forward with legalization. We know that for every positive step we take forward, there's always going to be 1,000,001 stories about the same incident. Where someone, left a gummy out and a child got access to it, or someone had some other thing in their system or some other underlying condition, and they ended up tying it to cannabis. Gary talks about all the time the history of how Tampa played a role in making weed illegal, because Harry Anslinger found out that some guy had a nickel bag worth of cannabis in his sock drawer when he murdered his family. And despite the fact he was schizophrenic and treating himself for that with cannabis, they used that as a way to springboard the reefer madness movement and say, oh, cannabis will make you kill your parents, and all this sensationalism. And so that's the fear that the people in leadership have. But there is hope on the way. We, as voters, have the opportunity to elect our members of Congress. For right now, we still have our democracy for the moment. And those members of Congress, after several years of going back and forth, this is one of those years where we managed to get in the VA budget, both the House and Senate voting to allow VA doctors to talk about and recommend cannabis. Now, the caveat about this has happened before, but the language differed in what they passed in both houses. And so they got to line up the language, and they need to pass the budget. Here's a couple things you all need to know. The budget needs to pass by midnight on Tuesday. Otherwise, the government shuts down. But should they reconcile the language, and should the budget get passed, it will be history making once the president signs it, that we would have this. And we've had both houses pass it in previous years, and it get cut out of the final language. So my hope is that it does pass, because we actually see the chair of the Cannabis Caucus, Brian Mass, who's a leading Republican voice, and David Joyce from Ohio sponsored and adopted this language. And even filed the Veterans Equal Access Act, which was a standalone bill. But the Milcon VA budget, permits VA doctors to make medical cannabis recommendations in states where it's legal. So, should this pass, we could see sometime next year VA doctors making medical cannabis recommendations for veterans in the state of Florida. And so there's an opportunity now. If you go to normal.org and go to the Action Center, if you go to our website and you sign up for our email list, if you're already getting our emails, you can go to the email blast from this past week, and there's actually a link there where you can send a letter to your member of Congress to make sure that they pass this, and you can click another one to make sure you send a letter to President Trump and let him know that he needs to sign this and make that happen.
Go ahead and sign it, boy.
Yep.
Hurry up, because he
and
just
reset.
procrastinated, and he got the power to go ahead and get it out the way. Don't forget to like and click share. Okay, we really appreciate you all for watching. Just continue watching. We're still here. Okay.
Yeah, I'm listening to you guys talk, and I'm hearing about the struggles that we have now in legalizing. I'm listening to Tammy talking about, her struggles and how long we've been doing this, and I can't help but think it's like, damn, like I hate to fucking put a damper on everything, I guess, but like the fucking government just does not give a shit about veterans whatsoever.
No, they say they do.
They say they
except
do.
for that 10% on Tuesdays, baby.
I mean,
oh shit, Timmy, you tough.
Since
tough, man.
the beginning of this organization, we've been supporting veterans groups. And I would say the catalyst for like medical marijuana becoming a thing, like really becoming a thing, not necessarily like the out in California or anything, but like, the Colorado medical cannabis was all Charlotte Figgy, and kids have seizures. And
remember, Charlotte's dad was served. He was in the military.
Yeah.
So the veteran community is inextricably linked to this whole cannabis legalization.
But after it was, everything was, before everything was about kids, but after that, then the veterans really stepped up and started taking a big part of the movement. And that was like 10, 12 years ago that politicians have had veterans coming across their desks talking about, how they need cannabis. And we're still not even close.
Well, we're in a situation right now where even the active military is at risk for being turned on our own citizens, which I hope does not happen.
I know.
Well, Tammy, I got to ask you a quick question. I mean, one of the big news this week is that our current Secretary of Defense, Secretary of War, is convening all the 1, 2, 3, and 4 top brass from all over the world to come together from 15 hours away for a 1-hour meeting to discuss the warrior ethos, which is basically 4 lines. And I'm wondering, what could they possibly talk about as far as the warrior ethos is concerned that would take 1 hour of their time that they would have to fly 15 hours to get to?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you would never, ever put all your peeps like that in one foxhole or one bunker. So, yeah. I'll
say it for you, Tammy. That's what happens when you get a talk show host running the Defense Department rather than a warrior.
Yeah. And you guys almost say this, for 26 years, I didn't have a fucking First Amendment right. And I worked with a lot of important people and was very blessed in my career. And, it didn't matter what administration was in office. If you were red, blue, whatever the fuck, we had to protect you. We took a bullet for you. So I'm so, so many things are going wrong with our military and why we're not the military anymore. And I'm I don't know.
Baffled.
I'm so many of us are, because it's leadership. We know how to communicate. You don't do that. It's the first line of defense. And also, it's here. Y'all take over for a second.
Okay, no. So here's the thing. I always have this question: why?
I look at it like this. Okay,
why is it so hard when it's the people's voices are telling what's wrong and what's the problem? And still
here's this. Here's how I am. There's a different oath. All of us, yes. the lawful orders of the president of the United States. You can look at your oath in different areas, okay?
Mhm,
And there's
mhm.
a difference in CIA, FBI, military, cops, and
Yep.
all that. All right. The military is very different. And me in my career with all the VIPs and presidents and things that I did in my career with transportation and being around them with education is one, we worked together as a team and we worked with the Secret Service. Okay.
Mhm.
And I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, if you freaking and there's a crowd and you tell me to turn on my brothers and sisters, I know one movement, boom, and bitch, you're going down because
That's
you're
it.
responsible.
Because there's something
So
wrong with you.
don't
You're the
give
problem.
a shit what you're about, people.
That
You
is
can
correct.
take your oath. I don't have a price. None of us have a price. My price is when I'm down in the ground. And I'm getting very emotional because this is, again, we need to concentrate on using like the military does too. It's a leadership, it's a generational thing. We need these millennials, these Gen Zs, what's left of our Xers, just that. It's a combination of hearing. Carlos could speak 10 languages and it doesn't matter. It's
Right.
if you're at the table, it's like we eat at home, man, and we all wait to get to that dinner table, or wait for a cousin to marry off, to play cards or sit down. There used to be diversity of thought. Uncle and aunt could be a Democrat and a Republican, and grandma could still be that independent. Nobody gave a shit, it wasn't about sex, color, creed, and age, man. It was like, that's what I tell people about the weed. It's like, man, there's so many, you could take this thing back all the way as far as you want to go, but it does help. It does heal. We laugh or we cry. We don't get drunk. We don't bust things. We don't piss on your lawn. We don't do stupid shit,
It's a
and
plant
Well,
already.
Tammy, you bring up a good point. This is
It's a
something I wanted to bring up today
It's
for
a
the
plant
10th
already.
anniversary. 10 years
yes.
ago, when I was back in Tallahassee and and trying to chase senators and representatives down the hallway because they knew I was coming in. They already started running when Kathy Jordan was rolling down the hall. They saw me, they started running even faster because they knew I could actually go faster than her.
We do have coming.
But the fact is, we as advocates, and we came from all over the state. I met so many fantastic people in the Weed for Warriors and all the other groups that were out there, is that they were all working together as advocates to fight the way this cannabis industry needed to go forward. And they were the pioneers, and they took their chances, of being busted in any way, shape, or form, even trying. But the fact is, we all worked hard together. And one topic that never seemed to come up at all among all the advocates at that point in time was what fucking party you belong to.
Yeah.
It didn't make a goddamn bit of difference whether you're a Republican or a
It sure
Democrat
didn't.
or a progressive or a Rastafarian.
That didn't
It didn't
move
make a
shit.
difference.
Right.
Or a Pastafarian. Sorry about that, Carlos. I know you're sensitive
Thank
about that.
Thank
But the fact is, no one even asked what party they were from. And all of a sudden, the wind started changing around 2016, 2017, where all of a sudden the Republicans are fighting the Democrats online, and they're not getting as much stuff done as far as the advocacy is concerned because they're too busy saying, who are you voting for? That's not the important thing, except for the fact you want to make sure the people who have the right policy mind are getting to office.
Even this show, the YouTube, version of the rotation, right? When we first started, it didn't come up in the comment section. Nobody was accusing us of being these Democrat fucking warriors or whatever the fuck they want to call us. But now that's all we fucking hear is that we're using weed to get Democrats in office or whatever.
Yeah. Or they're using weed to for their cause and
yeah.
use off the backs of veterans. When I stood in the committee at the Capitol this year, and I don't even want to go there on some of these people. Man. You talk about
He might fucking run for governor. And
let's don't go there.
We got a lot to talk about this
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah. But I just lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I mean, because I've been going local politics, getting to learn Florida and who's who, and Man, I just blew my joke.
I love it. I love it. I want some of that shit. I'm coming.
Well,
Hey,
I'll sum it up for Tammy.
There you go.
The lieutenant governor of Florida, when he was in the Senate this past session, felt as though that cannabis advocates were using veterans to advance the cause. And frankly, the lieutenant governor of Florida is a fucking tool. But you know, it is what it is. I mean, look who he works for. Look who appointed him. Everyone in the
Talking
executive
to you,
branch.
Jay.
Yeah,
I'm not. I'm not even going to lie. Like to me, he uses his fucking veteran status in order to fucking push himself on his constituency.
Yeah, he and I
doesn't give a
both
shit
are.
about veterans at all.
Yeah,
He doesn't give a shit about veterans at all. I've seen veterans in his office asking him for help, and he says, "Okay, I'll help you," and he turns around and does the other fucking thing.
oh yeah.
You know,
We were at the
Sounds like a
Amelie
beautiful motherfucker.
before he was running, and when Michael, get a shout out to our Jag, we love him, Michael Minority. He and his wife Toucan, they are really doing things here for veterans, especially combat veterans. But you know, we were all over there, and we took a bunch of us combat vets over there, talked to Jay, a bunch of people who were running then, looked him right in the face, man, and we were like, Jay, are you going to help out the veterans? You know, why are we paying? We served our country. Why are we paying for cards, medical marijuana cards? Why are they trying to make this like, you know, a drug? Anyway, and there was several of us there. And he was like, nah, Senior Tammy, you know, because we were both senior chiefs. He did 22, I did 26. You know, it shouldn't come down to that, man. We all should be about brothers and sisters. But we were talking eye to eye, like I'm right here. And he said, yeah, I'm going to get on there. I'm like, what leader's going to step up? Rick Scott, DeSantis. I mean, let's go back on who's even Navy, go Navy, that say they're going to do there. And they get in these places and it's like, yo, bro, what happened? You know?
Right.
And now,
next time, I got you next time. Next time.
And we see him in the halls in the Capitol and Senator Colleen Burton's office. I mean, we've been running those roads up there for 3 years. I mean, they even slapped the shit out of us again with House Bill 555. So, no, stop saying civilians or companies are riding the backs of veterans. All you bitches out there are, because they're the ones that are getting legal, wanting to help us stay sane. And still, I don't have a party affiliation. I know that between right and wrong and my constitution. And if you're going to fucking take it away, you're fucking wrong. Not on my watch, you know?
Well, your rules and regulations. That's what they're wrong at.
And we will reach out. I don't need to be MAGA this, that, whatever the fuck they're throwing out there. No, it's about one team, one fight. We're the United States of America. We're fucking warriors. We need to come together. That's why we're all here, whatever you believe in. And it's like, no, we got to stand up, y'all. And we all say that. And we all try, you know, and yeah, you got the millionaires and the billionaires, and there's so much influence going on. Where do we go? Where do we stop? But stop classifying me. I'm not a red, a blue. We're all purple inside. We all
got that right. I mean,
I'm sorry, I'm pink. I got pink.
Yeah, you are pink, baby.
We got Jay Collins. Obviously, he has a way, his own way of doing things.
Step up, Jay.
Senator Jeff Brandis, who did a lot of great policy work for us.
Yeah.
Also ex-military. And my buddy Danny Burgess, who was also JAG, who's also a state senator in our area here. He is willing to sit down and talk to veterans at all times, actually sits down and listens and actually denotes policy based on what he's heard from his constituents. And he was once in charge of the vets group for Hillsborough County as well. So, I mean, it doesn't make a difference what party you're from. It has more to do with your own inner ethos. Yes. It was what it comes down to. And look at that when you're looking at people. It's not about party, guys. It's just not. What it comes down to is what's right.
Faith without work is dead. That's all it is. Faith without work is dead. Don't have just the faith in us that we're doing it and advocating and whatever. Put in some work. You know?
Well, you know, Kat, as you bring in and inject faith into this, it reminds me that you cannot serve both God and money. And
Right.
that is the problem with
Yeah.
so many
That's
of
what I
you.
wanted to fucking bring out.
And church and
The
state.
game has
Right.
changed. Though. The game has changed. Though politics is no longer about the people, right?
Yeah.
It's about power and money.
Yeah.
money.
How much will you go? How much is your limit?
Who you
TV
know is not what you know. Who you
That's
know. Who you know. I know what I'm gonna do. I know
Yeah,
what I'm gonna
no,
do.
and
I'm
that's
gonna
what
get big
it is,
dogs
you
to
guys.
advocate.
It's terrible.
We're gonna
It's-
repost
So
all this
the
shit.
intersection of the private prison industry is so influential in the state of Florida and how the politicians in Florida vote. So as Tammy criticizes these veteran elected officials, well, why aren't they looking out for veterans? You go back and look at their campaign donations,
Mhm.
and then you see why. You
We hope,
see,
Jay.
you see
Go
that the same companies that own the private prisons are also the same ones that own many of the rental houses that we have in this state.
Yeah.
So when
Yeah.
you're looking at like, why is the rent so goddamn high? Why are we have these crazy policies where we have homeless veterans, but they're spending $500 million on putting tents in the Everglades to make a concentration camp?
Right.
Regardless of how the fuck you feel about what party you vote for, the intersection of money and politics is driving everything right now, and it's not driving it for favorable results for everyday people.
Right. It's not. It's
And-
for the
and-
people
and-
that want to do it at the time. And if it's not what you know, it's who you know. Now that's it. It's not what you know anymore, because if it was that the case, then what we all know over here on this platform, just a lot of other shit will be moving.
And even our media is manipulated, because those same companies that own the private prisons own all the fucking music labels. And every year they sit down and be like, what albums are we going to put out this year that can keep people in jail? So as you bumping down the street getting crunk, that sometimes is by design, you know, in order to push more people into these private prisons. It's a damn shame. And so here's the thing to all my cannabis consumers out there. If you're on the couch, if you're on the keyboard right now, and you're not sure if you want to get involved or get off the couch, look, when they're done deporting all the immigrants, and when those detention camps are empty, who the hell you think they're going to put in those
Who the fuck
next?
you think? Right. And who think about that?
Our
Yeah.
kids, they're going to lower it to what, 13, 12? No, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh shit.
They're
Before
lowering
number-
they're lowering the age to prosecute people as adults to 14.
It's a very true statement right there, and everybody need to really hear that shit. And that's just what it's going to be, especially for my little grandboy that's growing up. That's going to be I don't care how retro it is. I don't care if he's driving a car that's off the ground, you know, but he's going to know that law right there is still going to, that's just going to be that. And it's going to get even worse. So, anyway, that's
Tammy, you've been a pioneer in your neighborhood in regards to
great.
having this safe space that you put out there for vets and basically for anybody who wants to go there and feel a vibe of camaraderie. But have you ever had the Tampa police be bunker busters?
Oh, heck no. They'll pull up in there, and because we're right next to a bar, you know, I mean, a gay bar. I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of bar. I feel like
A
I
happy
can't
bar.
say it because I'm in the Navy anymore. You know, it's hard to get that. What can I say? What can I not? But anyway, yeah, they come up in there.
Our viewers would very much be okay with it.
Exactly.
As a matter of fact, viewers of the
Like,
rotation.
hey, the
Go see the
Johnson-
strippers over at Johnson and
Yeah.
hop over to Battle Buds.
Yeah,
for,
and
for a joint
get your
afterwards.
weed and get your vibe on.
Get your vibe on, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, and Gary, what did you say again?
No, you were saying that you're next to the next door to the bar.
You asked me something though.
The cops coming in.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
man, they're amazing. Yeah, and they know, you know, we got like CBD coffee and stuff like that, but they'll roll up, and we've been broken into a few times, but you know, they know we're military. They know it's a safe place. Everybody's chilling. You know, we're back there watching movies, playing games, Uno. It's like in the military, you know, because there's so many, it's all about the culture. There's so many different race and this and religion. And that's what we tried to do at the bunker is because here, even at the dispensaries, you can buy your stuff, but it's so beautiful. You can't go anywhere. You can't whatever. But, you know, we have a place where you can come and hang out and,
from somebody
You have a place that we can hang out. Something.
yeah, and have meetings. Yeah, we do like learn and burns. We do, yeah, and a lot of veterans know they can come there.
Yeah. Awesome
Um,
place.
from somebody that does something similar to what Tammy does. The whole situation, and we did this whole show with Minardi and Smokey Jones.
Yeah.
That has to be coming from higher ups, because every time we've had to call the cops, whether it's the Ybor store, dude, I own a store in fucking Ybor City. All right. I've had people stalking my employees. This one time, a homeless dude walked in with a pair of boots, a pair of tidy whities, and a leather jacket on, and tried to
No, who am I? I'm Batman, bitch.
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
there has been I have seen cops fucking spend hours out on the street trying to recoup a $60 bong that's stolen. Like the cops on the beat, they don't give a shit. They want to do their job. They know that we're tax-paying citizens. They want to help us out. They love that we have a business. They love that we're trying to change things, right? There's something from the higher ups coming down, trying to arrest people for hemp, trying to arrest store owners, things like that. You know, something from the higher ups. I don't know where.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when they sent the undercovers in to our jokes and tokes at the Wellswood Civic Center back in 2015, and they were like, "Oh, you better not have a bar," you know. And I'm just like, "Fuck y'all," you know.
They're gonna arrest us because we fucking put what is it, free drink on the with admission on a
Yeah. If you bought a VIP ticket, we're gonna have all you can drink, and they were like, "Oh, you don't got a liquor license, we're gonna shut you down." I'm like, it's a private thing, it's a party, it's our shit, but you know how it goes. So everybody wants their cut.
You got joke and toke, you
I
got
love that.
burn and learn, but
Yeah.
tell me what
and burn.
exactly is a puff and paint?
This
There
guy.
we go. It's coming up, you guys. There we
What
go.
a segue!
Go.
This weekend, yes, this weekend, Saturday. Carlos, put that beautiful flyer back up there. The Puff and Paint is going down at the Battle Buds Bunker. We have the VIP experience. If you get a VIP ticket, it will be curated by Cushy Pies. The Bunker is one of the original places where you can get access to Cushy Pies. So shout out to Cushy Pies for being our VIP sponsor. We're actually also going to have a
Try
returning
this pistachio, by the way.
you know, yes. Also, we're gonna have a Slap Your Mama food truck out there serving up some vittles. So folks are really gonna enjoy it. If you're looking for a chill evening, a date night, something where you know the grandma's watching the kids, you and your partner want to just come and chill. You can go to suncoastnormal.com right now. Click on the link and get your tickets. If you get a VIP ticket, you're actually going to get a custom trap bag that you can paint and decorate. We're also going to have canvases for folks to paint. It's going to be a great time. BYOB, bring your own bud. That's one of the beautiful things about the Bunker. And if you don't, they got amazing selection of hemp products there at Battle Buzz that you can legally purchase without a card. So that's an opportunity there for you as well. Give you a good time to commiserate and fellowship with like-minded folks. The doors open at 9:00, so this is a later thing. We're going to go into the wee hours of the night until the party shuts down, and we're going to have a great time. So, Gary, that is what Puff and Paint is all about. And the most important thing, all the proceeds from Puff and Paint go to legalize it. Everything goes to a good cause.
Yay! I'm so excited.
And we open at 4:20, so you guys can come on.
4:20.
Just hang. Don't come too early if you can't hang with the big dogs late.
Do we have this planned out?
Carlos, speaking of that,
Is somebody just going to give me a paintbrush and a joint and I just smoke and whatever happens? Or
we're going to have all the painting supplies there for you. Yeah, you'll have an opportunity. It comes with your admission. If you just want to come and chill, general admission tickets are available as well. If you're a Suncoast Normal member, of course, you get free general admission to all of our events. So that's always the most important thing of being a member, is getting into our events for free, and also getting a discount at Chillum. Which, Carlos, we thank you for that, is applying that as a member benefit. And of course, it's going to be a great time. So come on out, bring a friend, get your tickets now before they sell out, especially if you want a VIP trap bag, you want the opportunity to decorate it. Of course, we're going to have a great time, and I'm looking forward to it. I will actually be there, so I'm looking forward to coming down and making sure I'm in Florida for this amazing event.
I'm so excited, y'all. We have to color coordinate. I just had to say that because I need everybody to know y'all can't wear our colors. I'm just.
Oh, look at us today. We all wore black and didn't
exactly.
even.
That's why I said that.
Got to coordinate.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
That's great mind.
Carlos picked these shirts out. Unfortunately, he did not give me a pocket. I don't know.
What?
Where are you going to put your pre-roll? I mean,
Yeah,
seriously.
you keep on complaining about the pocket, but you got a hemp shirt.
Yes, this,
My pocket shirt's not made out of hemp.
this is a ham shirt, but where do I put my pre-roll?
Somebody's shirt is made out of hemp. I need one of those. I didn't get what Carlos was supposed to have got me a shirt a long time ago.
It wicks your
I got
perspiration
you.
quite
I
well,
got you.
actually.
I think we still have them we still have some. I don't know.
Well, look,
I hear you, Pink. I got
It's been an amazing show. I'm proud and honored to celebrate over 10 years of doing this with y'all. I'm glad that the team continues to grow, that we as an organization continue to grow, that this show becomes bigger and better. And we can't do that without the support of all of you watching. So if you're watching right now, hit that like and subscribe button, especially if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, please go ahead, leave a comment, share this feed. We're here each and every Sunday bringing you the best and brightest in the latest in cannabis news and entertainment. We've had amazing guests on this show, from members of Congress to people running to governor of Florida, to local politicians, to scientists and folks on the cutting edge of the research, doctors, patients. We've had veterans. We've had moms with sick children. We've had the entire gambit of special guests and folks who are really on the ground as movers and shakers in the cannabis space. And moving forward over the next year, we're going to continue to bring you even bigger and better guests. But again, we need your support. So become a member of Suncoast Normal. Visit our website. Go ahead and tap that donate button if you could give $5, $10, $20. But if you sign up for your membership, you'll get a member lapel pin. You'll get your membership card. You can get free admission to the events. You'll get discounts at Chillum Hemp and Mushroom Dispensary. And we have so many more member benefits available on our website, from free webinars to discounts on doctor recommendations. So check out our website, become a Suncoast Normal member. And with all of that, I got to say, it's time for the normal news.
Yay! I had fun. Hey.
So look,
Great show.
at the top of the news hour, one thing that I want to say is shout out to Governor Gavin Newsom of California. He has signed legislation that is halting tax hikes on commercially available cannabis products. The law takes effect October 4th. The new law rolls back a 25% tax hike that actually took effect on July 1st and pauses future tax hikes on retail adult use cannabis products until June 30th of 2028. I can tell you, in some of these legal states, the cannabis revenues, in a time where the federal government has decided to cut off a lot of funding to the various states in order to give tax breaks to billionaires, that there are certain things like your driver's license fees or alcohol taxes or cannabis taxes that a lot of local and state governments have decided to try and rely on in order to actually plug these holes in their budget. And there's nothing more frustrating than to walk into a dispensary and think something's going to be $40 or $50 and your bill comes out to be $70. And it's like, what? Where does? And it's like, I'm paying $15 in taxes. Ludicrous. I mean, we started a revolution in this country over paying a 1% tax on stamps, and now we got 25% taxes on weed. That shit is not going to work. So, to all the Democrats out there across the country that are in leadership positions, don't think you can tax bud. All you're going to do is push people back into the illicit market, because I can tell you that the plug down the street is not going to charge taxes, and they're going to give you a much better price than buying this corporate booth and having to pay taxes on top of it. So, shout out to Gavin Newsom for actually getting it right on this policy and reversing course on those cannabis tax hikes. Now, looking at some other federal news, over 800 financial institutions have filed paperwork with the federal government to provide services in state licensed cannabis dispensaries, according to the latest data available from the U.S. Department of Treasury. The total remains nearly unchanged since the fourth quarter of 2019, when 789 banks and credit unions filed paperwork with the agency. In total, fewer than 10% of all financial institutions nationwide provide services to state licensed cannabis businesses, which means that a lot of businesses have to deal solely in cash, that there is a level of illegitimacy still to the cannabis industry for folks who work in it. For example, if you need to declare Chapter 7 bankruptcy, you won't be eligible to, because technically you work for an illegal enterprise as recognized by the federal government. Which is why it is so important that we continue to push members of Congress and the current administration to pass the Safe Banking Act through Congress, which will have federal lawmakers essentially legalize the ability for financial institutions in America to provide banking services for the cannabis industry. And that is really one of those main dominoes that needs to fall in order to see real legalization happen in this country. Now, moving on to some medical data, and I think it's important, some stories that folks should be paying attention to. Recent data published in the Journal of Oral Pathology and Medicine shows that cannabis use is not independently associated with an increased risk of head and neck cancers. Researchers affiliated with the University of Florida assessed the risk of head and neck cancers in a cohort of patients with a history of cannabis use, and investigators found no association once they adjusted for participants' use of alcohol and tobacco. By contrast, subjects' use of alcohol and cigarettes were associated with an elevated risk of cancer, even after researchers adjusted for covariates. They reported that the odds ratio for oral cancer among cannabis users became insignificant after you adjust for alcohol and cigarette smoking. Furthermore, after adjusting for cannabis use or for oral cancers in alcohol users, it was 7.95 and 7.39 for smokers. The study's authors conclude alcohol and cigarette smoking, rather than the use of cannabis, may play a major role in establishing the association between cannabis use and both types of head and neck cancers. You know, for me, what I take away from this is why I smoke organic hemp raws, because I don't want whatever they're spraying on the tobacco leaves. For those folks who are still out there smoking swishers, you know, it's time to get out the 20th century and know that you can smoke your weed out of weed and it can be organic. So there are products out there that if you're going to consume botanical cannabis through combustion, there are safer ways to do it, and make sure that you're protecting yourself. Now, other medical data that's coming out in the Human Journal of Human Psychopharmacology, Human and Experimental, says that the use of state-regulated cannabis products are actually associated with decreased stress. Researchers at the University of Colorado at Boulder assessed the ad libitum use of cannabis products in subjects with elevated levels of anxiety, and participants were assigned to consume state-regulated cannabis products dominating either THC or CBD for the duration of the trial. Investigators acknowledged significant changes in the depression, anxiety, stress scores over the length of the trial. The study's authors concluded among a sample of individuals underrepresented in research, both CBD and THC were significantly related to improvement in mood, but not to alcohol use, with participants using CBD demonstrating more improvement over the course of the entire study period. You know, this goes back to what Tammy was saying earlier. For so many folks who have anxiety, who are really worried about what could happen if they get too high, utilizing CBD products, utilizing the legal hemp products, which have lower amounts of THC, can be more medically beneficial in a lot of ways. And that's what I'm taking away from this. Patients authorized to use medical cannabis products most frequently report doing so to mitigate symptoms of pain, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, sleep disturbances, and depression. And you can read the full text of the study, Effects on Cannabinoid on Emotional States and Alcohol Use Among Underrepresented Groups, in the Journal of Human Psychopharmacology, Human and Experimental. You can visit normal.org and you can read more in detail on that. One last news story is looking at some survey data that's coming out of Northwestern University's Feinberg School of Medicine in Chicago, shows that epidermolysis bullosa patients frequently use cannabis for symptom management. And this is data published in the Journal of the American Academy of Dermatology. 44% acknowledge having used either cannabis or CBD to treat their condition. Among cannabis consumers, 28% reported that cannabis provided greater pain relief than traditional medications. And the cannabinoids are used by nearly half of all EB patients, with notable improvements in pain, itching, overall well-being, suggesting that cannabinoids can be a promising new therapy for EB symptom management. Look, there is so many great things that the cannabis plant can do for you. You know, obviously, this is something that you should consult your doctor with. And if you don't have a doctor that you feel comfortable talking to, again, the folks there that we see places over at Battle Buds and Chillum are not medical professionals. They can't give you medical advice, but they can help you talk with your own personal treatments and what works for you. And I think that's important that, hey, if there's a certain cultivar that works for you, if there's a topical cream that works for you, if there is just doing a dab right there at the counter at Chillum to calm you down works for you, then that's what you have to do, is make sure what works best for you is what's in your best interest, and you continue to do that research for yourself. All in all, we're going to continue to do what we can to bring you the latest in the news. We're going to continue to give you the facts, but we want to also hear from you. And so Carlos is going to drop the link, but I want folks out there to take the 2025 normal member survey. It's about a 10 to 15 minute survey, but the information collected is confidential and it's used for our internal organization purposes. And under no circumstances will your information be provided, sold, or disclosed to any other individual organization. But we need to get your input, because cannabis is changing rapidly, both politically and culturally. And to better navigate this climate, we want to know, as a member organization, what you want to see from our policy, what you want to see from the organization, our lobbying and outreach and education efforts. And if you complete the survey before midnight on November 15th, you'll be entered to win a $100 Normal Store gift card from National Normal. So go ahead and click the link, go to normal.org, let National Normal, let us know as an organization what we can do in order to provide the right path for this organization moving forward. Normal has been around for over 50 years. Our founder, Keith Strop, is in his 80s and still sits on the board of directors with me. I sit in a room when I go to these National Normal board meetings of folks who have been on the front lines fighting since the 60s when they were in college. And now they're old people in their 80s still doing it. And that's why we need to continue to make this organization accomplish its mission. And we can't do that without new blood. We can't do that without each and every one of you. High Times was brought up earlier today. High Times is going in a new direction. Josh Kesselman from Raw recently purchased it and moving forward. And I think it's important that, and I even told him, in an email, the nostalgia of the magazine, but also bringing the education and the cultural aspects of it to a new generation of folks is highly important. So for us, with this legacy of cannabis, folks who have been doing this for years, folks like Gary who have been doing this since he was in college in the 60s and 70s, I think it's important for us to just acknowledge that there's been a lot of sacrifice, a lot of hard work that has been done over the years. It's time for a new generation to really step up, get more involved, and so we can continue to win. And what does winning look like? And I think that's why you have to be involved, because there's so many criticisms of how things move politically. But we're a membership-based organization. If you want us to advocate for your right as a parent to consume cannabis, then we're going to push that legislation. If you want home growth, we're going to continue to push that. But we need to hear from you to go ahead and continue to push the mission forward, to have your input on it. And we need folks to get involved. Become a member of Suncoast Normal today. Get involved and become a volunteer. Be like Pink. It can start out just coming to an event like the Puff and Paint, and then you can wind up being a judge eventually in one of our best blunt debate competitions. And before you know it, you're on the board of directors. There are so many great journeys of so many amazing advocates and people who continue to push forward and make this organization better every single day. And we need your support to do it. So again, you can start right now by hitting that like and subscribe button. Then you can visit our webpage, hit that donate button, become a member. Come out to the Puff and Paint this weekend. Snatch you a VIP ticket. Get you a trap bag to decorate. And then all in all, let's have a good time at Battle Buds on Saturday. And we will see y'all next week in the rotation.
And I have one more thing that I'd like to talk about. And our brothers in arms over at the Florida Can, it's holding a number of events at the Capitol. I want to point out that they're already save the date, January 15th, Cannabis at the Capitol. Chillum and Suncoast Normal are both listed as, you know, homies. And the bunker. Where you guys at? Yeah, right there.
Woo woo. Yes, January 15th, Cannabis in the Capitol up in Tallahassee. Be there.
And if you can't make it to the Cannabis at the Capitol event, they've got a number of events at the Capitol leading up to the actual event. Let me hold that up close. You can call that number if you need to talk to anybody or scan that QR code.
And our Tampa Bay area is November 17th. It's going to be like 3 days, you guys. Yeah, it's November 17th is the whole Tampa Bay area. And this is a great opportunity to go up there, meet your representatives, your senators, and see what's going on, what's coming up. And let's come together, you guys. Let's try to show them we don't give a shit about red and blue anymore. You know, we care about what,
Care about that green. The green.
Yeah, the green, baby. Bring the green back.
And
And
of course,
reschedule weed. It should be descheduled, but we got to play their game. Oh, and you know what? Go Bucks. 4-0, baby. Go Bucks.
and as far as this show is concerned, the rotation, expect to see a whole bunch of fantastic guests coming up in the next couple of months. I know we talked about Josh Kesselman. He's going to be here. We just got to work out his availability right now. And next week, I know we have the Puff and Paint, where everybody will be there Saturday night and probably too wasted on Sunday to do this show. But we will be actually pre-taping a show this week with a friend of mine who is a lead researcher at Tikkun Olam in the Negev in Israel, who escaped barely with her life at the Nova Southwest Music Festival and is now currently in Thailand in charge of medical grow over there as medical director, and has done absolutely fantastic research on, among other things, the use of cannabis in treatment of autism. And she's going to go into more depth into what's going on there, because I know that's a topic in the news right now and very important, which is why one of the reasons we are going to be filing a bill this session to make certain that autism is a written in full qualifying condition to get a medical card, because it is absolutely true that cannabis helps. And Tammy, you know that better than anybody.
Hell
In the
yeah.
meantime, you guys stay safe. Have a great week. See you guys at Puff and Paint next week. I'll be in Detroit, but I'll be there in spirit.
One team, one fight. Hey, you got it, Gary.